Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Well, welcome back to the show. We are so honored to have our next
Woohoo!
guest with us, Randy Swaim, who's been with us for so many years. He is such a highly skilled professional, amazing person, coach, you name it. He's a good guy. Not just because he's Marshall Goldsmith certified as an executive coach, but with all his years of experience as a pilot and as an executive coach, he continues to, push forward with his education, with his expertise, and loves talking about leadership and teaching those leaders out there how to lead better. How are you doing today?
Cool. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Pleasure to
Good.
have you back. Can't complain
Yeah,
today.
and it's always a pleasure to be here
Oh,
with you. I appreciate you as as truly a valued friend, and I just appreciate our time together when we're here.
well, thank you so much, sweetheart. Let's chat today. How can we be of service to the public? And you're always good at, of course, giving us examples and sharing stories and your expertise with us today. What did you want to start with for today, Randy?
Well, what I thought I was going to do is start with something that I hinted at in a previous uh, session some time ago. But what I thought I would do is kind of hint at a reality that sometimes people don't really understand when you look at it in our society and everything. And I'm not saying the society is bad or anything like that. It's just there's certain aspects that people don't understand about what we're going to be talking about and all. And if there's anybody that has a question that would like to, bring a question in or something, they're welcome to. So, but what I would going to do is talk about a real difference between true leadership and what you see in a lot of managers out there that don't understand the concept of real leadership. They have, many have a disconnected, dysfunctional, picture of what that should be like and everything. And I'm just going to share some of that aspect so that people kind of maybe get an insight on it.
All right, bring it on.
Okay, so you want me to go ahead and start? So,
Yes.
and like I say, if there's anybody that has an interest in bringing out a question, they're welcome to and stuff like that. But what I will say is that when you look at what a lot of um, managers in today's world have a tendency to do, their mindset is simply to um, dictate and control freak all of their people. I'm their boss and they just have to shut everything off and just do what I tell them to do and all that kind of stuff. And there's a sense of that in a number of people out there. Um, and that is dictatorial management. It is not leadership. And what I will just give you a couple of insights because I have actually seen this in a couple of managers around and everything that is just a picture of what I'm talking about because you have you have talking directly and pointing fingers and telling people what to do, telling them what they think is the only truth on something, and you know what, not necessarily. But the other part of it is a lot of times what you'll find is, and this is just one subtle difference of it, is what I've seen some of these dysfunctional managers out there do is they'll come up and they'll tell jokes to one or two of their people, and they're trying to get their people to laugh and stuff. But what a lot of people are not aware of, but when you see what they're doing and how they're responding and all of that, you get a real sense of what I'm talking about. And what it is sometimes if those people kind of get to smiling and chuckling and all that, you can see in the way the manager responds to them is in a way where their whole purpose of this manager in doing this was to get their people to shut off their brains, throw their brain aside, and just capitulate and cave into me and just do what I tell them to do. Just shut up and just do what I say. kind of thing. And there is a sense of that where some managers out there, now I'm not saying they're meaning to do that totally, but they don't understand the truth of it. And so they're applying it in that dysfunctional way. And the bottom line on this is, and it's just something that I share with people, but that is not leadership. That is control freak, dictatorial management.
Yeah.
And that is not being a leader. And if you're not being a leader, your people are not getting good. Your people are not really becoming
Yep.
successful in unpredictable, challenging situations, and all of that kind of stuff. And so what you're doing is you're really shutting your team's success down. And so, but one of the things that you have to really be on this picture is if you're connecting with your team members in such a way where you're not overly controlling them. And you know what? In
Yeah.
some respects, now, if a team member is doing dysfunctional, unprofessional, unethical things, yeah, you need to kind of get with them and tell them. But if all you're doing is pointing fingers and yelling at them, that's not what you need to do. You need to go over and have the discussion with them to help them understand how what they did was not good and stuff. And that's a different way of doing it. But the bottom line is if you're connecting with your people, true leaders are people that lead their team in such a way that their team begin to experience the reality of what this is really about together. And you
Yeah.
know what? Boy, I'm glad I'm a part of this. Boy, this is awesome, kind of thing. And they kind of mention that. But you know what? If you're
Oh, Randy.
not because
Think.
you're playing control freak games and threatening them and playing those games and everything with them, but because you are connecting with them in such a way that they appreciate who you are and how you're connecting, and they want to be a part of what you're doing. And you know what? The part of the value of that is as they're growing, guess what? Even if you're sick and at home and something comes up, they can do it successfully, kind of thing. And but that's a subtle difference in a lot of this that many people today do not sense or really see that that uh, there were very simple. There's a lot of people that if you have somebody that's just kind of getting, telling them a joke so they'll just shut up and stay here with me and stuff like that, and all that, you know what? That is not being professional and it's not being a true leader.
Mm-hmm.
Very often when somebody, if you have a question, instead of just dictating to them, but if you have a question that gets their mental processing going, because a lot of this is neuroscience aspects of it. And and the bottom line is, but if you interact with them in such a way that their thinking and their processing is sort of amazing to them, and in their mind they're going, wow, yeah,
Yeah.
cool, cool. And they come back, you know what? Your people are going to be a part of you, not because you control them and played these games, but because they experience the difference of what's happening in the team, what's happening in the synergistic aspect of it, but also what you're doing, where you're not just playing threatening games with them, but you're leading it in such a way that boy, they love where this is going and they're going to be a part of it and everything. And so it's just one thing that I was going to kind of bring out on this, that is a difference that a lot of people don't see. One of which, when you look at a manager that is maybe on your team or your management, if you're doing it, and you look at it, which of those is more what you're doing? You know, change your strategy, change your strategic awareness and your strategic thinking back to how do I really not just control them, because a lot of managers think that the way I get my team there is I just tell them what to do and they just better do it or they're going to get fired or whatever, that kind of thing and everything. And if that's what you're doing, you're not creating this oneness. You're not creating this, and you're not being a leader. You're being a dysfunctional manager. And so there's one thing to keep in mind, that when you have people that are maybe the head of a team or something like that, they have to think in terms of, what am I really doing? Am I doing this right? Am I coming across as this dictatorial manager where I'm just threatening them and they don't want to be a part of me, but they don't want to get fired either? So, you know what? They're just going to be here, okay, kind of thing and all that. Or is it true leadership where you're connecting with your people in such a way that they're truly starting to experience the amazing reality of your team and what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish and all of that? And by the way, if you think about it, if your whole focus is in this dictatorial, narcissistic, controlling thing, when rapidly unexpected factors come on scene in your journey, guess what? Your people are just gonna, don't know what to do, kind of thing and all that. They may have some, images in their mind about it, but you know what? The other side of it is, he doesn't want me to go there, so I won't go there, or whatever, kind of thing. Because they're picking up on the negative and dysfunctional aspects of how you have been connecting with them. So it's really key when you're talking about this, because here's the thing. It's really amazing when you are developing your team in such a way that there is this tremendous oneness and trust, and this aspect where they believe in where the team is going, how the team is working together, how you're leading it, but how we're doing it too, and how we're bringing it all, kind of aligned and everything in that. And they're aware of that. Guess what? They can reach much more radical solutions than otherwise. And so it's just something to think about. It's a just sort of one aspect, one sort of visual of that, of this dysfunction, the dysfunctional management, as opposed to the true leadership, because the true leadership gets you there. And so it's just something to think about on that I was going to share today. It's something that, when you're talking about leading your team, it's not just about dictating. Now, when situations are going really crazy in such a way that nobody expected it, then yeah, you need to take more of a leadership role. And there is a time where you got to come together and lead and get the team moving in the right direction to accomplish and things of that nature. But you know what? If that's your only mindset with the team, they can get to the point where they don't really trust you anymore. And you know what? They don't think and they don't process in their mind anymore as much. Why? Because you're shutting them off. You're just dictating to them. And so it's just one aspect about this. Like I said, this one aspect of the true leadership versus, versus the dictatorial control freak, managers. What you want to do with your team is lead them and help develop them in such a way that you're not just making assumptions, but you're developing their ability to make the right solutions when different things come on scene, and they have more clarity on that and awareness on that. And you know what? The team is able to work together to get that done. But when you're trying to make that in your team, that deals much more with leadership than just the dictatorial dysfunctional management. And so it's not just about threatening and pointing fingers and telling them what to do and all this kind of stuff. Now, there are times in a really radical, threatening situation that sometimes you may have to do that because nobody else understands really what's going on. And the leader may have to do that. But a true leader understands how they need to do that and how they should not do that. And in what version, in what situation do those two kind of play out? And so it's just something that I was going to kind of throw out to it in this one is this aspect of leadership. And it's just one example of leadership and what it's about and what you got to do. And here's the thing, when you become a new manager, I'll tell you what, the times in my career where I became a manager, I employed leadership because one of the things that I did is I went out and I had conversations with the team members and I got a chance to sense where they were, what they were thinking about, and all of that, and getting a sense of their vision of what we're doing and all of that. And sometimes I'd ask them a question on what if this factor came on scene here? What do you think would be a good way to do it? And got them sort of thinking about it right then and there. And that was part of the leadership aspect of where you're growing your team to be able to really apply what they know, but also not being afraid to just shut the brain down, to just go and think about the situations and apply the really successful solutions that can make a difference on it. And that's one thing when you're talking about managing a team, you got to be a leader, not just a dictatorial manager. And you got to be able to, lead the team and develop them. And that doesn't mean just making them shut their brain off and do what I would do. No, it's about helping their processing, the neuroscience processing in their brain to basically gain situational awareness of the situation and really make it happen. But that's a key aspect of this. So it's just something to think about on that.
And, in your expertise as a leader, and you've been leading for many years, probably when you came out of the womb, right?
Well, it was a little time
Did you
after that,
start?
but yeah.
No, no, but yeah, well, with leadership today, I mean, has it changed at all? Does it change, or is it really kind of stay the same? And we just have to be reminded, some of these mindfulness techniques and things that we should be doing. But no, has leadership changed?
You know what? You have my compliments on the question because what a lot of people don't realize, how does true leadership happen and all that? Should it change? And the short answer to that is no, not at all. But does that mean that the solutions and the success in given situations can change? Yep. Because in the situation that you're in the environment that you're in the uh, situation that your company, that your operation is involved in, guess what? Those factors can change and change sometimes rapidly as time goes on, and sometimes it can change very quickly. And so, you know what? A true leader understands that and they don't just kind of go crazy with it. What they do is they are able to process and with their team process and get the right solution for this situation. So the leadership, doesn't really change over time. True leadership doesn't. Now, the people that you're working with are a little bit different. If you have 5 people that's on your team, guess what? Each one of them just a little bit different. Why? Because they have different backgrounds, they come from different areas. Now, are they all in the same area for the same reason? Yep. But you know what? How you're interacting with them in such a way can vary, but your leadership aspect of it doesn't change. And it's you're growing them in such a way that they can work together and become successful. And that's a key aspect of this aspect of leadership that a lot of people don't fully understand. So you have my compliments, my friend. I mean this very sincerely. You have my compliments for that question because it's a great question. But you know what? Leadership doesn't change over time. Now, what it has to accomplish can, but depending on the situation, depending on the factors involved, depending on the people that are involved, guess what? Leadership is not rote academic necessarily, because guess what? The factors and the situations that you're in change a little bit. And you know what? Your leadership can be applied in the same way, but you know, with the different environment, with the different situation that you're in, coming to real success in it. So you have my compliments on that question. But like I say, leadership, true leadership does not change. A lot of people think that my leadership is just to tell them what to do. And that's not leadership, that's dictatorial management. When you have the conversations with your people in such a way that they start really developing their understanding and their processing ability and all that, guess what? That's part of your leadership. And they are raising up their success factors on it and everything. And so, um, keeping in mind that the leadership, it all sort of depends on the situation. But does that mean the leadership's different? No, it just means that the factors that you're dealing with could be different. But the actual leadership of how you're going to be doing it is a little bit different. Now, like I said, if and this can happen in combat also, but if you have situations where the team doesn't know anything about a certain situation that's coming on, a factor,
Yeah.
guess what? You may have to just tell you what, let's start with this. Let's do this. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to point your fingers at them and just, threaten them or anything like that. No, it just means when you talk to them, you talk about what do you think that the real, radical, risk is on this, then how are we going to minimize that? And you come out with something that says, let's start doing this, and let's be, as you're doing it, let's be observing on what's really happening and what's going forward with it. And you can, work with your team in such a way, leadership like that, where you can really make possible radical results happen. And it's like I said, there's been a couple of times in my career where I did that with um, some of the people that were working for me and everything, and that can be huge. But that's a part of the leadership. And like you said, it's a good question. But like I said, leadership doesn't really change so much. Leadership is applied in the same way. But there's a lot of people that just have an academic thing of, well, leadership, you're not supposed to tell them anything. Well, yeah, you are. Yeah, you can. But you know what? How you do and what your goal is and what you're really trying to
Yeah.
accomplish is different. Leaders don't do that. Leaders develop it within their people so their people can accomplish some amazing things. And so, like I said, the leadership doesn't, it's not
Yeah.
something where the leadership has to change. Your true leadership doesn't have to change at all. Now, the situation and the scenario and the environment that you're in, that may change. And you know what? What you have to do is you may have to change the outcome a little bit. But you know
Mm-hmm.
what? Leadership can still get you there.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So,
Thank
so, so a
you.
great question. I appreciate that.
No, just like chatting with you. You always have something informative, something new, something intense, something worth listening to, worth, people thinking about. Like it's you, yeah. And it's not
Well, I
just the
take
gift of gab. It's your knowledge and experience and expertise that shine right through. And yeah, yeah.
well, I tell you what, my friend, I totally appreciate you more than you'd ever know, and I
And
just
what's the name of your
thank
book
you.
right there behind you? What is that called?
The
There it is.
book, right?
Well, it's in your screen. There it is.
Oh, that's right. It's on the screen. Here you go. Well, I tell you what, here it
Oh,
is.
it comes to life from the screen.
That's right. It's the title of the book is Bring Freedom to Potential, and it's my autobiography, and it's the title is Bring Freedom to Potential, because that's what I had to do in much of my life, is just not just be vindictive against things, but to really overcome and bring freedom to the potential. And that is something that then I've been able to do in my life, and that's been kind of amazing, if you ask me. And so it's been an amazing experience.
All right, Randy. And let's see. This is the best part. Where do we buy the book? Where do we see the movie? How do we contact you?
Well, I tell you what, we have the Hollywood movie of my life story, and we have the autobiography. And basically, if you go to, what I will say is, if you go to Amazon, you can purchase the autobiography from Amazon. And one of the ways, if you go to my website, coachingforrelevance.com, on there, it has a thing for the book, and it has a thing for the Hollywood movie and stuff. And if you click on that, it'll let you go there and purchase it and stuff and be sent to you. So it's the movie is about an hour long, and because Hollywood has kind of gotten away from 2-hour movies and stuff, and but it's a story of my life, and it's and my journey. And in the book we just looked at, bring freedom to potential and stuff, on that. That's on Amazon. So if you go onto Amazon and you click on my website, you can actually click on the homepage there, one point where it takes you to that also.
All right.
So either one of those is one where you can purchase either one.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic day and enjoy, the rest of August. Summer's almost over. The heat will stop down in Dallas, I'm sure, soon, right?
Yep. Well,
All
I tell you what, sister, I appreciate you more than ever. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, rest of the week, and the weekend.
Thank you so much. Same here, sweetheart. Enjoy the rest of the day. To everyone out there, God bless, enjoy, and stay healthy, stay happy, happy. That's what it's all about. Bye, sweetheart. Thank you again. Always a pleasure.
Take care, sister.
Bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.